Joining us shortly will be Councilman Tim Chandler from Ward 4, Jerry Haywood, Councilman Haywood from Ward 8, Councilman Jimmy Brown from Ward 9. Returning for another term is Councilman Amber Marquis and Councilman Kerry Lovato. So we welcome the new ones and the returning members, and we thank you for your willingness to serve. The committee assignment sheet has been distributed or will be distributed to you shortly or soon. And ask you to pay attention to that, and thank you for your willingness to serve and respect the committee process. So let's begin with our Planning Commission report. Mr. Tyndall, please, sir. First item is Ordinance 42, 2024-25.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and City Council.
Mr. Tyndall, let me interrupt.
Yes.
Do any of the new members need help getting access to that? We're good? We're all good? All right, thank you. Mr. Tyndall.
All right. And I understand there may be a little learning curve today, but we'll get through this all together. Our Planning Commission met on December 20th, so I don't often have 10 days between meetings, and usually I'm about 2 days later. So bear with me as I might have to refer to my notes on some of these cases. First one in front of you today is Ordinance 42. Our Planning Commission case is Z46, 2024. Application of Judy Clayton, and Mark Holloman is the agent. This is around 2.03 acres, and it's currently zoned R1 and requesting to go to C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. It is an extension of the C5 in the area. The property is located off of Pea Ridge Road, approximately 500 feet north of the 101st Airborne Division Parkway. This is in Council Ward number 9. There's currently a residential home on site with multiple accessory structures. The applicant's statement is, we wish to have our property rezoned to C5 to allow for the sale of our property. This is the property in question. There is a church on the right-hand side of Pea Ridge Road there, and this is on the left. The house, the garage, both included. And this is from the property looking back toward 101st Parkway. Department comments or concerns. The Gas and Water have said there's no gravity sewer, but it can be extended in the area. A traffic assessment was required prior to approval by the Street Department. Improvements to Pea Ridge Road will be identified from the traffic assessment. A traffic study may be required at further development of the property. It's our anticipation that it would be developed with the remaining C5 around it on the west side there. So depending on the future use, we may ask for an updated traffic study depending on the final use of the property. No other comments or concerns from the other departments. This is a corridor commercial future land use on our comprehensive plan map. Staff does recommend approval. This request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarksville Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. This request is an extension of the existing C5 Highway Arterial Commercial Zoning classification to the east, west, and south. The request also squares up the C5 district to create a more appropriately aligned northern C5 zoning boundary. This request is located at a commercial node of activity, and work is in progress to provide a traffic light at this intersection. There were no adverse environmental issues identified at this time. The Planning Commission also recommended approval.
Thank you, Mr. Tyndall. Any comment or question from council regarding this case? Councilperson Marquis, you're recognized.
Yes, just to kind of reiterate what was mentioned with the traffic light, if any of you haven't driven that intersection, the light is up, but it's not operational. So we're waiting on TDOT to work with some of the developers in that area who've been pitching together to get that light up and running, but it is getting close. Thank you.
Yeah, typically, I think by policy, we put them on flash for 7 days, just to give the public time to get used to the traffic signal being there. Did I say it right, Mr. Smith? Or Bella, did I say it right? Okay. Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Ms. Turner, are there any oppositions from any of the people that live around this area?
We did not receive any emails, and no one was at the meeting to express opposition.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member have a question, including the new members? We'll encourage you to speak up. Councilperson Brown, you're recognized.
I'll go ahead and speak up since this is in my ward. I also posted this to to a group and did not get any feedback from it. It does appear that it's just gonna square up that C2 that's there, by that property, so I haven't received any negative comments on this either.
Thank you. Any other comment? All right, we're now ready for item B, ordinance 44, 2024-25. Mr. Tindall, please, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an application Z47 2024 from the Planning Commission, application of Terrence Burney, 0.34 acres, currently zoned R2 single family, requesting to go to R6 single family. And I'll jump ahead just a little bit. This was a case you had heard about a year ago. They requested to go to C1, and it was denied by the city council almost exactly a year ago. This is on Kelly Lane, approximately 440 feet south of Crossland Avenue and Kelly Lane intersection. It's currently a single-family home in dilapidated condition. This is in Council Ward number 6. This is in the Hilldale planning area. The applicant's statement is to provide a single-family infill development. Department comments and concerns. Street Department said sidewalk would be required for R6 per the ordinance. And there were no other department comments or concerns. You can read the school system comments on their capacities listed for Moore Elementary, Richview Middle, and Clarksville High. Historic estimates would put this at 3 total units. Here's Kelly Lane. The property is on the left as you leave Crossland Avenue, about halfway up after the apartment complex there. There's the structure that would be taken down and replaced with approximately 2 or 3 lots or houses. And then just looking in the other direction, you can see the sign just at the crest of the hill there. This is in a mixed residential neighborhood, according to the comprehensive plan, which encourages a mixture of single-family and multifamily units. And the zoning in the area of R4 to the north, R3 to the west, and R2 to the east and to the south. So there is all 3 different zones touching it, and you have R6 just across Crossland Avenue to the north there. Staff does recommend approval. This request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted comprehensive plan. The Hilldale planning area encourages a mixture of housing types and neighborhood improvements. The future land use opinion map indicates that this property should be part of a mixed residential neighborhood, and it's the intent of this land use to accommodate a diversity in housing units to include workforce and affordable housing along major roads and commercial areas, and no adverse environmental issues were identified. The Planning Commission also recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Tindall. Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So I wanted to make sure I'm not missing anything, but it looks like this is the only proposed R6 on that side of Crossland Avenue except for Elm Hill Drive. Is there any R6 to the right of the map?
A couple blocks over as you get more toward Robert Brown Drive, I believe is the name of the road. There's an R6 development over there, but that's off Paradise Hill Road.
Okay, but this would be the first one in this block.
On that side, you see a little bit down there off Elm Hill Drive, off Daniel Street down there, and then much closer to Gracie and Daniel Street. There's a lot more towards that end of Crossland Avenue.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tindall.
Councilman Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Tender, I'm very familiar with that area over there. That road is so narrow over there. So how are you gonna put sidewalks and allow traffic to go both ways? And what is the egress and ingress for this area?
Sure.
Because it's very small.
Yes, you've
You
got.
can't get but one car in there. I know.
It's a deep enough lot, they'll be able to have a driveway in front. The homes will probably be placed around the same depth as this home currently is. You see there's some remnants of a gutter or sidewalk in this picture. They'll have to grade the property properly, put a sidewalk and a curb in to make it work, but it's not overly narrow. In fact, while we're out here taking pictures, I'm not sure anyone even passed us on this road. It's not a through street. It's a kind of it's between 2 major streets, but it's not really used for a through street out here. We made it work on.
Can the fire department get up in there?
The fire
Yes.
department did not provide any comments that they objected to the width of the road.
I see it's been paved, but I know it's mighty narrow. But no oppositions?
To this one, no.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other comment or question? We're now ready for item C, ordinance 45, 2024-25. Mr. Tindall, please, sir.
All right, this is the request, Planning Commission case Z48, 2024, application of Antonio Ramos. This is right at .51 or a half acre. Currently zoned RM1, which is single family and mobile home residential district, requesting to go to R6, single family residential district. The property is on the eastern frontage of Calvert Drive, approximately 628 feet southeast of Calvert Road, or Center Road and Calvert Drive. Currently, it's a vacant mobile home lot. This is in Ward number 3. This is in our Lafayette Peters Mill planning area. The applicant's statement is to better utilize the property and improve this area. And I'll call your attention to this map. In fact, if you can see sort of the candy cane striping that goes north-south and then east-west, that's the city and county line right there. So to the west is the county, to the east is the city, and then that little cutout at Mayapple Drive also in the city there. And the zoning out there is a big mixture of R1, larger single-family lots, both in the city and the county, R4 in the county, R4 in the city, and a lot of RM1. About March of last year, we passed a ordinance both in the city and in the county that allows any RM1 lot in the past had only been allowed to have a mobile home. You all and the county commissioners voted to allow to let folks either put a traditional built home or a mobile home back after the tornado damage in the area, which this area was affected by. Here's the Center Road as you come up to the property. It's on the bend on the right. You can see the sign there. And there's the remainder of what was the mobile home that was there and has been removed. Department comments and concerns. Sidewalks would be required for R6 per the zoning ordinance. No other comments or concerns. You do see the school system comments about their capacities at Minglewood, New Providence, and Northwest. Historic estimates would be just 2 units. And I want to draw your attention to why R6 and why nothing else. This property only has 51 feet of frontage. So the only way but they have half an acre. So the only way to divide it into 2 lots, which would be 2 quarter-acre lots, would be to go to R6. And because that only requires 25 feet of frontage. Every other option we have requires more than 25 feet of frontage for a new lot. Therefore, staff has to recommend disapproval. This request is inconsistent with the overall goals of the comprehensive plan. The future land use designation of suburban neighborhood indicates that increased residential density is more appropriate along the transitional edges of the land use when abutting higher intensity uses and major transportation corridors. This request lies within the inner boundaries of the suburban neighborhood designation and has limited connectivity to residential supportive uses such as mass transit or retail, as mentioned in R6 single-family description. No adverse environmental issues were identified as part of this request, and as I had mentioned, this parcel appears to have received damage as part of the December 2023, that says 22 in your staff report, I apologize, 23 tornado. In addition, the staff also felt if you put R6 here, then it's going to open up the next parcel and the next parcel and the next parcel down the street. So there was some concerns about setting a precedent there, even though we do see the applicant's desire just to split into 2 lots, and the geometry of the property would only allow the 2 lots. So staff recommends disapproval, and the Planning Commission also recommended disapproval.
Thank you, Mr. Tindall. Comments or questions? Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Tindall, we've spoken probably for the last several months about your all's department looking at a design guidelines for the affected tornado area. Where are you all in that process? Excuse me.
I'm glad you asked. So today closed our RFP window that we had open to hire a firm to help us for the next several months to look at this area. And we're looking at both the county and the city. It's about 2/3 in the city, 1/3 in the county, being funded just by the Planning Commission. We did get some responses from some qualified firms, and we'll proceed with interviewing them over the next week or two, and then hope to hit the ground running as fast as possible. Should be a relatively quick plan, kind of like we did with the Red River Neighborhood Plan as a model, but look at the area from Fort Campbell over to Evans Road in that area in the county. And as you can see, there's a mix of zones and a mix of uses all the way north of 101st and from Fort Campbell. So looking at all the issues out there, and then just provide some guidance in the future of, are there different zones, are there different ideas, and what can be really done with especially the areas that kind of bounce city county out there.
And do you have is there a timeline for completion as part of your RFP?
Depends how fast we can mobilize in the community. We'll try to go with the firm that can mobilize quicker than the other, but we'll have to interview them and find that out. I'm hoping only 6 or 7 months before we have it back to you for a plan adoption. It won't be an ordinance update, but it'll be a plan adoption to look forward. We'll definitely get the word out once we have someone chosen.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Tyndall, were there any oppositions first? I want to ask that question. From any residents around the area?
There was no opposition, either written or in person, on this one.
Okay, I think that R6 would happen to look better over there since it's such a small lot. I know you said there's no R6s over there, but this would, bring in some R6s and to help that area look good, upgrade it, since it's such a small lot. So I really think that would be a good idea to put R6 over there. Like you said, the setbacks are 25 feet, and it was a 51 feet frontage for that area. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So I think that R6 would help to upgrade the area, make it look good if you had no oppositions over there. And it also would bring R6 in. Thank you.
Councilman Peters, you're recognized.
I would just like to add that when you look at this lot is on an extreme downhill slope. So you'd have to build, I'm assuming, a house in front of another house, because I don't think you get two side by side here because of the shape of this lot. So your elevation change is going to be drastic. So I think you're going to have a lot of runoff situations for the home that may or may not be sitting behind it. It's a very drastic decline going down the hill right there. So it's kind of a multi-level hill. I went and looked at it yesterday, and I don't think this would be a good place to put two homes. R6 or not, I don't think it'd be a good spot. Just want to add that in there.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to comment or have a question? Seeing none, are we ready for item D, ordinance 46, put my teeth in so I can talk. 2024-25, Mr. Tyndall.
Thank you, Mayor. This is Planning Commission Case Z49, 2024. Also, the applicant is Terrence Burney. This is 0.48 acres, just under a half an acre. Currently zoned M2 General Industrial District and requesting to go to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. This parcel fronts the eastern frontage of North Ford Street, approximately 640 feet southeast of Chapel Street and North Ford Street. There's currently a single-family home in dilapidated condition. The applicant's statement is to extend the multifamily zoning for a more appropriate use and provide workforce housing. This is in Council Ward number 4. This is also in our New Providence area plan. And here's some photos of it. As you approach, Ford Street takes a left and then a right. As it makes the next right, that's the home there, that gray home in question. And that's looking up the street. The home would be on your right here. And this is from the right side of the home. This was a recently approved R4 a couple of years ago that came in with 4 units, I'm sorry. Department comments and concerns. Improvements to North Ford Street may be required at further development. Sidewalk would be strongly recommended by the street department. No other department comments or concerns. The school system provided their capacities at Burns Darden Elementary, Kenwood Middle, and Kenwood High School. Historic estimates would put this at 5 units. And this is where it gets a little interesting. So it's in the New Providence planning area. And if you look at the future land use map, this area between the quarry and Chapel Street and Ford Street out here, not a really good way to divide these parcels. And since we handled that map via parcels, it kind of followed the pre-existing zoning. So it indicates that this should probably be a commercial industrial hybrid lot, the lot also to the north and south of it. But as we know, M2 allows almost every industry. So right now, if someone came in to put a small batch plant, some small industry, warehousing, it would have to be approved because it would meet the zoning and the minimum requirements out there. Whereas everything on North Ford Street is multiple family or single family right now. So the Planning Commission staff recommends approval of this request. It's consistent with the overall goals of the comprehensive plan. However, it is in conflict with the future land use opinion map. The Planning Area Improvement Plan discourages development near the quarry and identifies this area as commercial industrial hybrid. However, the most recent investments in the area are multifamily residential structures that appear to be successful and well received in the immediate area. The New Providence planning area calls for improvements and investment in a mixture of affordable housing types throughout the area. It has been determined that the most recent residential investments and the proposed future land use designation are in conflict. The current parcel size, access, and location have a very limited development potential under the future land use designation of commercial or industrial hybrid. The RPC staff is of the opinion that the neighboring property's recent residential investment and the need for affordable housing in the area outweighs the conflicts identified in the plan bullet. Consider, and on page 159, you can read the paragraph about consideration of adjacent future land uses in rezoning requests. It's one of just 6 things that we look at when we take these into consideration. So staff does recommend approval of R4, and the Planning Commission also recommends approval of R4.
Thank you, Mr. Tyndall. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 46? Councilman Smith, you recognize.
Any oppositions?
There was no opposition to this
Sounds
one.
good. Thank you.
All right, we're now ready for item E, ordinance 47, 2024-25. Mr. Tyndall?
This is Planning Commission case Z50, 2024, application of Todd Morris. This is 12.93 acres, currently zoned R4 multiple family residential district, and requesting to go to R6 single family residential district. It's a tract of land fronting Peters Mill Road, located 50 feet west of the Pollard Road, Peters Mill Road intersection. There was recent zoning case history on this. It was zoned R4 in 2001 with staff, RPC, and City Council voting for it. And it does have a site review on it currently for 155 multifamily residential units. Applicant statement is to go from a multifamily development to a single family development. This is in Council Ward number 4. Department comments. City Street Department said connect to existing city constructed sidewalk on Peters Mill Road at further development. Must follow the city access ordinance for arterial roadways, which Peters Mill Road is. No other department comments or concerns, and the school system listed their capacities at Kenwood Elementary, Kenwood Middle, and Kenwood High School. Historic estimates would put this at approximately 67 R6 lots. A little hard to quantify that with such a interesting shaped parcel, plus you'll have to take out some new roads and infrastructure and terrain on the property. So as mentioned, we have 155 already approved townhomes going down to potentially around 67 single-family homes. Here's the property up on the hillside. It has been cleared over the last 2 years. You can see the newly constructed sidewalk along Peters Mill Road. Looks really nice going all the way from New Providence up towards the existing sidewalk further up. And this is looking out from Pollard, back at the site. This is in our Lafayette Peters Mill planning area. It's also in the mixed residential neighborhood. Staff recommends disapproval. The request is not consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. This request is located in the Lafayette Peters Mill planning area, which is home to Heritage Park, Bel Air Park, the Greenway, etc. Recent sidewalk improvements have also been made to the frontage of this property, and it's encouraged to provide the highest residential density in areas served by public infrastructure. While the comp plan does promote a mixture of housing types, this parcel lacks the ability to create an internal street connectivity with the surrounding residential development. Due to the lack of connectivity, it appears that the parcel is better suited to remain R4 multiple family residential. The request is located in close proximity to commercial investment node, and the comp plan encourages the highest residential densities near these nodes to promote goods and services within a walkable distance. No adverse environmental issues have been identified as part of this request. It's also important to note in the comprehensive plan that fiscal responsibility is one of the top 6 goals that we look at. And when you build an R6 subdivision, the roads will be part of the city's long-term maintenance. But if you build a townhome development, condo development, or apartment building, that's all handled by an owners association or a condo association. So if you approve R6, you're also going to have to take on long-term plowing and paving and all of the public roads that could be there with R6 for a slightly less density. Staff does recommend disapproval. The Planning Commission recommended approval with the reason that this is a good transition from the multifamily in the area to the single family in the area. I'll take any questions.
Okay, thank you. Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. In imagining this being R6, how many driveway accesses would there potentially be to the frontage of Peters Mill Road? That's my first question.
Okay, so, and the street department can correct me if I'm wrong, but because it's an arterial road out there, it would all have to be internal driveways. There wouldn't be allowed to be any driveways without having to go to the Access Appeals Board for that.
Okay. And then you had said that there was already some preliminary plats presented for the multifamily R4, is that correct?
That's correct. So soon after the R4 passed in 2001, a site plan was approved with 155 townhomes on the property.
Were they going to square up and have an exit across from Pollard Road?
I would have to imagine we were going to do that.
None of us were here in 2001.
Yeah, it's, if I remember right, it's 2 entries further down Peters Mill Road, so several hundred feet more south
Okay.
of the Pollard Road intersection.
Okay, thank you.
I can definitely get that, I can get you that plan if that would help you.
I was just curious.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
I don't think it would be possible to align the entrance to there with Pollard Road because there's a home that sits there between what used to be Spencer Johnson's house and Barbara Johnson's home in between, so it'd be kind of tough unless you took a house.
So the property line is in the middle of a house, that northern part?
Could be. Well, there used to be Spencer Johnson's house, whose property this was.
Right.
His son Pat sold it, and Todd and company are developing it.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah, it would be tough.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
it splits the right of way of Pollard Road, so you wouldn't have the full width to line it up. I don't have a sketch of what a
It's fine.
subdivision would look like.
I'm sorry. I was just,
It's okay.
well, we had you here. Thank you.
It is a fine sidewalk, though.
Very fine side.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just kind of wanted to speak on behalf of the Planning Commission. I usually always have my notes with me to where I can have the exact vote totals, but I believe this one went through unanimously with the Planning Commission voting in favor of it to go from R4 to R6. I cannot speak for everyone, but I can speak for myself, and that you were talking about quite the downgrade going from 155 units to 67 units. So you're adding much less traffic to Peters Mill Road coming in and out of there. And I know Mr. Tyndall didn't mention it during the Planning Commission meeting, but had in the informal meeting about the fact that it would be less money spent by the city having to clear the roads. But I mean, to me, I can't use that as a reason to make the decision there because I don't want people thinking we're making zoning decisions based on what the cost is to to us out on the council level. So for me, I'm very supportive of the R6. I know that it's mentioned in here that there, in as far as the recommendation reasons, it's talking about, it's in the area which is home to Heritage Park, Belle Isle Park, the Greenway. Well, I would think with it being R6, you would have a considerable amount of families living there, even more so than you might in an R4. And this is excellent opportunity for those families to have access to those right nearby. Also, when we're talking about R6, we're all the time talking about it needs to be something that is within a walkable distance of the commercial nodes with goods and services, transportation. All of these things are met for this to be an R6. So my vote is actually going to be exactly the same as it was on the commission level, and vote in favor of it being R6.
Councilman Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So with it R4, how many units was that?
We have an approved plan of 155 currently.
155 compared to if it goes
Our
R6.
estimate's 67, but
67?
it would be plus or minus a handful.
Okay, sweet. So just for the new members, and I'm not telling you how to vote. If traffic is an issue, you do have to think about density as far as like what we add between like R4 and R6. So in this scenario, just speaking for myself for Ward 7, R6 would add less traffic. So I mean, it would make the most sense to vote for the R6. But that's all I've got. Thank you.
Any other comment or question? We're now ready for item F, ordinance 48, 2024-25. Mr. Tyndall?
All right. This is a Planning Commission case Z51, 2024, application of the Nanny W. Bell Trust, Gayla Stewart, and the agent is Calvin Ligon. This is currently 24.97, so just under 25 acres. It's 4 parcels and portions of, currently zoned agricultural and R2 single-family residential district, requesting to go to R2A single-family residential district. It's a tract of land consisting of 4 contiguous parcels and a portion of a 5th located adjacent to Bell Road to the north, east, and west, beginning approximately 850 feet northwest of the Needmore and Bell Road intersection. It's an open grassland field with rolling hills divided by patches of tree lines, and a TVA easement does encumber the property. This is in Council Ward number 9. This is in our St. Bethlehem planning area. The applicant's statement is to build single-family houses. So this is currently Bell Road on the property. The street department does believe there is 20 feet of right-of-way out there. The applicant does not control all of it, but almost all of it, except that last approximately 250 feet. Where they do touch Bell Road and do use it for a future subdivision, they'll be required to expand it to the full right-of-way width with 24 to 26 feet of pavement. For the remainder of Bell Road going out to Needmore, they will have to expand it to the full 20 foot of pavement available in the current right-of-way. And there's where Bell Road comes up and connects to, so everything from here up is considered for rezoning. And then Bell Road also comes up near Pat Drive and the other road up there. You saw an R3 zone earlier this year. We have seen a conceptual subdivision that incorporates the R3 as well as this potential R2 development that does connect it to some of the surrounding roads. We'll obviously leave stubs to the east. You do have that one last agricultural property there. And in the future, there could be the possibility that you don't use Bell Road anymore, and there's a new road that comes out that is a full city standard road. So could be a step in time here. These were all different heirs property out here that Mr. Ligon has been working with the family to reassemble. Utilities, Gas and Water said possible off-site lift station upgrades may be required. City Street Department said improvements to Bell Road will be required, as I mentioned. No other comments or concerns. We do have the school system comments listed regarding their capacities at Glen Ellen Elementary, Northeast Middle, and Northeast High School. TVA did provide a comment about their easement and that there would be need to be surveyed and the types of uses that can't be put under their easement out there. I believe the police department also mentioned the need of a crossing guard at Glen Ellen Elementary or to work with the improvements that are going on out there. Historical estimates would put this remainder at 112 units on the 25 acres. Little hard to estimate this one. There, again, with the TVA easement and there's some drainage basin out there, you're going to lose some acreage, so that number may be a little high. It's in the suburban neighborhood future land use designation, and staff does recommend approval. The request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. The request is a continuation of a single-family residential development of similar densities. The future land use opinion map identifies this area as suburban neighborhood, and this infill aligns with the proposed future land use map. Roadway improvements will be required by the Clarksville Street Department as part of this request, and no adverse environmental issues were identified as part of this request. Planning Commission also recommends approval.
Question or comment? Councilman Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. If I'm looking at this map correctly, and please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, we're talking about 500 new residents-ish on Needmore. Like all of that vehicle traffic going to and from this development is being added to Needmore, correct?
What did I say? 112 units, 2.7 people per home on average in the city of Clarksville, plus what you already have approved in the R3. I'd say just under 500s, high 400s.
On Needmore, though. That's the part that I'm kind of keen on.
Needmore and Drive, it'll eventually connect up internally to Ann Drive and Whitfield as well.
Okay, but to get to Ann Drive, you have to be on Needmore. Like all of that traffic is being funneled from Needmore.
Or Whitfield, which, once the roundabout's all completed, you'll have that nice north-south run there as well. But yeah, in the area, between Needmore and Whitfield.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think he was leading the witness. Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Tyndall, if all of this was zoned to R2, meaning the ag that's not R2, how many single-family units do you estimate that to be without the 2A?
So on this map here on the screen, there's already a portion that is R2. So you
Right.
said if you took the remaining ag green on that map and made it R2, what would that be? I'd have to get back to you on that.
Okay. And then have there been any discussions about another way to get out of this neighborhood without going to Ann Drive to connect to Whitfield and Needmore? I know that sometimes subdivisions are built and there's a stub for future use. And I know that there's a big piece of ag on the map that would connect in north. I'm just wondering we face a lot of issues where we have big neighborhoods with one way in, one way out, and then they're landlocked because of creeks and whatnot, and just trying to see if there's a future discussion for another way out of there.
So on this map, the zoomed in version, you can see this property also touches Pat Drive to the south. So Pat Drive, which comes directly off of Ann Drive, would be a straighter shot in without having to go up to Ann and curve back into the property. It is a stub road. The end of Ann Drive is a stub road, and you have Bell Road. To the east, now this is looking a lot in the future, and if cards fall right, you see Nan Lane to the east there. That's another stub that we could also continue, and as we plan this subdivision out, we would plan for a potential connection there in the future as well, so that you could have 3 or 4 ways out of this area when it's all said and done.
Okay, I was more thinking north towards Nicole Road, but I'm not an engineer and I don't play one on TV.
But I'll get you those estimates.
Thank you.
Any more comment or question regarding ordinance 48? Councilman Brown, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question, maybe Mr. Smith might be able to answer with the street department. Have we gotten, I believe the contractor gave like a preliminary design for Bell Road. Have they turned over anything since, be like more official, that might be showing it being widened?
No, we have a sketch of what a road network might look like. They haven't spent that much money on the engineering because they would wait for the zoning to be done before they would commence putting any more money into the property. But we do have what it would look like. It's not saying it's a final version, but it does say that there would be the 20-foot of pavement on Bell Road, and only from this property south. So anything, the remainder of the other half of Bell Road that's currently surrounded by this rezoning would be widened to the full city width internally. It's just that last, like I said, 250 or so feet.
So is this the same builder as the R3,
It's the same owner.
same owner? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Smith, do you have anything to add to what Mr. Tyndall mentioned? Okay.
So conceptually, the engineer on the project has brought a concept to us that shows even the stub that comes out to Needmore, they're working with adjacent property owners to acquire the necessary 50-foot of right-of-way to get the 24-foot of asphalt sidewalks, et cetera, et cetera. But again, as Mr. Tyndall mentioned, it's very preliminary at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, any more comment or question regarding ordinance 48? Now ready for item G, Resolution 34, 2024-25. Mr. Tyndall, please, sir.
All right, we do have an abandonment before you. For the new council members, an abandonment is typically an unused portion of city street. It may or may not have pavement on it. It may or may not be useful. The city has a procedure, which we updated last year, that the planning commission will receive the application. We do the analysis with the city departments and then bring you back a report on this. This one is for an unnamed public right-of-way. And let me get to that file. It's an application of Zena Davis. This is off of Blakemore Drive. And you can see it highlighted there in the yellow. This is an unpaved portion of right-of-way. You can see there's also one to the east, about 10 more lots to the east, where this is one example where back in the 80s or 90s, connectivity always didn't get accomplished when new subdivisions, and it was kind of who came in first. And I would assume the subdivision on the north came in, and they didn't build those roads. They left them as future connections, and then when the subdivision on the south came in, they didn't want to connect to those. Here was the approved plat from that time, and you can see the right-of-way. So it is city right-of-way. There just is no road on that stub going to the south. The owner, the applicant is the owner of both parcels to the left and to the right of this right-of-way. Total acreage of the right-of-way is 0.36. The street department said there appears to be a drainage ditch from Blakemore down the right-of-way. We would want to retain all existing drainage easements. A grading plan would be required at any further development to maintain the north-south flow of drainage from Blakemore. In other words, right now, when we return this, if it gets voted on and approved by the city council, this will be returned. The city would have the right for a drainage easement along what was the right-of-way. It just would be returned as property to the people. I've explained to the property owners they can't build in there unless they either replat it or they'd have to relocate the drainage somewhere else on that property. With that said, both the Planning Commission and staff recommended approval after a public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Tyndall. Any comment or question? Mr. Tyndall, Ms. Davis, did she mention, I got him, did she mention the purpose for wanting the abandonment?
The purpose they told us is they just want the property. I will tell you, to be transparent, there is enough property there that if they put the effort in to redesign the drainage and redivide the lots, you could put a third lot between these two other properties.
Councilman Brown, you're recognized.
So when I've looked at that, there's pretty much no way that it's gonna connect a road from there to Single Tree. 'Cause it's a pretty steep embankment, ravine there. There wouldn't be, it would be very difficult to put a connection in there into the Single Tree subdivision. So I don't see any issues with getting the property there back on the tax rolls.
Okay, any more comment or question? Thank you,
All right.
Mr. Tindall.
That concludes our report.
All right, we're now ready for that lengthy consent agenda. Madam Clerk, would you please read the consent agenda?
All items in this portion of the agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and may be approved by one motion. However, a member of the council may request that an item be removed for separate consideration under the appropriate committee report. Ordinance 36, 2024, 25, second reading, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Samuel R. Baggett for a zone change on a parcel of land fronting on the northern frontage of Adams Court, approximately 130 feet west of the intersection of Adams Court and Cumberland Drive, from R3 Single 3-Family Residential District to C2 General Commercial District. Ordinance 40, 2024-25, second reading, an ordinance amending the operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 2025 for governmental funds for a grant award. Resolution 31, 2024-25, a resolution approving a certificate of compliance for sale of wine in a food store at Tony's Discount Tobacco located at 2185 Wilma Rudolph Boulevard, Unit A. Resolution 32, 2024-25, a resolution approving appointments to the Audit Committee and Regional Planning Commission and the adoption of minutes from December 5th.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilman Brown, you're recognized.
On item B, do we know what that funding is for? I see it's for Chief Ellis at the fire department. Do we know what their grant award is for?
Yes, we do. I'm going to ask Ms. Matta if she would tell us what that match for the grant is for. It's the budget amendment for the grant match.
Yeah, it's 13,000 that we have to contribute. Just we know what they're utilizing the money for. And you could get that later if you want.
Councilman Streetman, you want to take a stab at that?
I'm just going based off of what it's written in here, and I can help my fellow council member with this, but it's the city plans to use these funds in the training division of the fire department to purchase training equipment related to fire simulation, rollovers, and fuel spills. And as he stated, our portion was the $13,825.
Does that help, Councilman Brown?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you. Disregard. All right, any more comment or question regarding the consent agenda? We're now ready for the Finance Committee. Chairman Streetman, you're recognized.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
It's okay.
I was still next door. I'll have a full report on Thursday night. That is so unusual. I'm sorry, sir. That as well. I'm glad that didn't get picked up on camera.
Gas and Water Committee. Chairman Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll have a full report next week.
Okay, Neighborhood and Community Services Committee. Chairman Shekinah, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'll have a full report next week, but I do have one item of interest to put out tonight, and that is the Clarksville area urban ministry will open its warming shelters at the Madison Street UMC Gymnasium, and that's at 300 Commerce Street, beginning at 4 p.m. on Friday, the 3rd of January. It's going to be cold for a while, so they need people to work the shifts. So they need some volunteers for the evening and overnights. So if anyone is interested in volunteering, they can contact the Clarksville Area Urban Ministry at 931-648-9090. That's 931-648-9090. And you can also donate for this cause at ClarksvilleUrbanMinistry.com. And other than that, Mayor, I have a full report on Thursday.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Parks and Recreation Committee. Chairman Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll have a full report on Thursday.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee. Chairman Lovato, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll have a full report on Thursday.
Thank you. Transportation Streets Garage Committee. Chairman Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a report on January the 2nd.
All right. Thank you. We're ready for new business, Resolution 33, 2024-25. We'll go to the sponsored. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This is Resolution 33, 2024-25. It's a resolution requesting the Tennessee State Parks Division of the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation preserve Swan Lake at Dunbar Cave State Park. On December 17th, I attended a public meeting that was held at Dunbar Cave State Park in regard to changing how Dunbar Cave currently is. What was discussed by them was that they are looking to remove Swan Lake and instead replace it with a stream, as well as allow for additional parking. That lake has been there in 1926. It was built to be and it is a man-made lake, but it was built to be 5 acres in 1926. In 1933, it was increased to be a 12-acre lake, and it wasn't until 1973 that the state of Tennessee decided to purchase the land and turn it into a Tennessee State Park. I know that one of the things that was mentioned during this was that they talked about how it's difficult to, when they're giving tours and talk about it, it's difficult for them to say that historically there was a stream there. Well, and by changing it, they could more easily say that obviously it would be a stream. But the point I made during public comments was, well, if you look at it from the other side, everyone that has lived here in Clarksville, most likely someone has a memory of some sort tied to Swan Lake in Dunbar Cave, and for all the rest of us, we would have no way to try and relive that memory and talk to others about it and say, well, there used to be a lake here. The room was full of people there that were in opposition to the change. In fact, it was a standing room only, and not only within the room, but there were other people just right outside the area. Mayor Pitts spoke on it. Mayor Golden spoke on it. Senator Bill Powers spoke on it. Representative Burkhart was there. Representative Mayberry wanted to be there, but had the school board meeting at the same time and couldn't be in two places at once. The councilman for Ward 12 was there. The councilman-elect for Ward 9 was there as well, and the Parks Department was there. And I cannot speak for my fellow council members, but I can speak because Mayor Pitts got up and spoke in regard to the city wanting it to stay a lake. And I know that that's why Parks and Recreation was there as well. If you take some time and please read the resolution that is attached to your agenda, there is also some financial expense that will come along for the city should that revert back to a stream. They are one of the things in regard to when the land was sold back in 1973 was that we as a city had water rights in perpetuity for the irrigation of Swan Lake Golf Course. If we do not have access to that, instead we have to use city water to be able to do that. With city water, it's going to be obviously different than what natural water would be, so there's chemicals that would have to be added for the turf, so that's a financial expense we would be taking on as well, plus the fact that it is just beautiful to be able to have that lake there. I have always enjoyed that. Again, I have memories of going back when I was a child and we would do class field trips to go there. Mayor Golden talked about how both his son and daughter caught their first fish there. I'll allow Mayor Pitts to be able to tell his story, but you'll also notice within the resolution that this resolution has the full support of our entire delegation to the state. I spoke with each and every one of them, and they were all supportive of being included in this resolution. And not only does this resolution state our support of keeping it as a lake, but it also shows our support for our delegation to actively work on keeping it as a lake. So I would appreciate your support on this so that we can show them that this is something that is important to Clarksville. I can say for myself, there were quite a few Ward 10 residents that were there that either spoke or felt a little discouraged and didn't speak, which is why I got up and spoke while I was there. I would imagine that there were probably people from everyone's wards there also. So again, I would just ask for your support in this, and I have shared some information with the city clerk that she can put out. I would ask that everyone here please take a moment to visit the website and give your comments on it, whether you're for or against it. But hopefully, I would want you to be for keeping Swan Lake. But we have the opportunity until February 7th to be able to enter our comments. And that's not just as us as council members, but everyone in the public has the opportunity to go out and be able to let their voice be heard, so that the Tennessee State Parks Division of the, I don't have it pulled up. Environment and Conservation Division. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Flexibility.
It's a lot there. But please let your voice be heard. This is our opportunity to tell them what we would really like to be there. And if anyone has any questions, I'm here to do my best to try and answer them.
Okay, thank you. Any comment or question regarding this resolution? I want to commend the sponsor for keeping it positive. We are continuing to talk with the state, sort of diplomacy on figuring out the future of that lake, given that we do need it for irrigation for the Swan Lake Golf Course, not to mention the aesthetic and historical importance of that lake. So I want to commend the Department of Environment and Conservation for working with us to this point. We're a long way from a decision, and hopefully we can get to one that works for everybody. So thank you. Any more comment or question? All right, we're now ready for item B, ordinance 43, 2024-25. Councilman Holloman, you're the sponsor. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So it is ordinance 43, 2024-25, an ordinance amending the operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 2024 for governmental funds. It's for the government seed bank. So what this does is it removes funds, $120,000 from the HR department, for the sake of getting rid of a very specific position. And I know we can't dictate which positions those are. It is the DEI position that we've tried to get rid of a few times, but that money, we're going to take that money and we're going to make a seed bank. So that way we store up all these seeds in the event our grocery stores run empty. We can have just last minute resort, plant seeds everywhere. We need to have a plan. Like it's not a joke. If you look at the federal government, like you could piece together, like someone might say, like, man, it looks like the federal government's kind of backstabbed its citizens. Like someone could come up with that reasonable conclusion. I'm not one to say that, but I could see how that could definitely come up with that conclusion. But I think we need to be prepared, and we need to have a serious discussion. And if we need to iron out some stuff, we need to iron it out. But like seriously, guys, that's all I've got. Thanks.
Councilman, pursuant to City Code Chapter 5, Section 6-510, and the City Charter, Article 7, Section 3, your ordinance contains line item changes to the budget which exceed City Council authority. So therefore, it would be not valid and will be ruled out of order. So I tell you that so that you can consider that. And if you'd like to offer an amendment on Thursday, you're certainly welcome to do that. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, sir. I guess my first question would be, this is very obvious change to the budget. And typically speaking, you would have these things come through Finance Committee. Is there a reason this did not come through the Finance Committee?
Yes, multiple reasons. For one, it's the holidays, and two, I do have other things I've got to do that we're taking care of, and so there's a time constraint as well with the holidays and with everything else. So yes.
But there's not any kind of emergency situation at this point in time to get this done.
Have you watched the news? Are you paying attention to what's going on?
Yeah, I am. I'm also aware it's December. I don't think we can plant seeds right now. But next would be in regard to letting everyone else on the council know, this does state in here that it would reduce the department by one full-time position, regardless of what is stated by the sponsor of this ordinance. We do not get to dictate what position is cut. This will reduce them from 14 to 13, so this will result, should this pass, as it stated, including the part about the reduction of employment, there will be somebody that'll be forced to lose their job. This didn't come before the Finance Committee, so it wasn't an opportunity to have the director from HR speak, but I have verified that her staff is full right now. So should this pass, we are going to be letting someone go, and that's heartbreaking to me to think we'd be, firing somebody. But also, one of the things that's stated in here as the whereas is that the whereas is people's ability to live depends on our ability to feed ourselves. We're talking about taking away the employment and somebody's ability to feed themselves through their valid employment. And again, we do not get to dictate what position is let go. Also, in regard to the $120,000 that would be, as it's currently stated, that would be given to the Building and Facilities Maintenance Department, if I'm correct, we also don't get to dictate how that $120,000 is spent. So we would be moving $120,000, removing a position from the HR department, and just automatically giving it over to that department with no authority as to what that money would be spent on. My question I also have for the sponsor is, what is the $120,000 for?
It's to purchase seeds, refrigeration units if needed. It's not really, it's pretty open because we do have experts in that field, so we would take their advice on that. So it's not like, I'm not dictating how they spend the money, but I do think we need to guide them in the direction that they need to go as far as storing seeds.
How does the department head feel about this?
I'm not really sure. We do have the power to move money around, and I hate it that someone is going to have to lose their job, but.
I apologize. I meant, does the Building and Facilities Maintenance Department head, how does he feel on this? Because this is dictating his department.
Yeah, I'm not up here for feelings. I'm up here because we need
What
to
are
get a
his
plan
thoughts
together.
Okay, hang on.
We need to get a plan
One at
together.
a time, please.
Can I get what
You're-
his thoughts are? I didn't mean
Yeah.
feelings.
Councilman
I-
Holloman, you have the floor.
Yeah, I have not talked to him. What this is a plan. We're saying we need to do this. City experts, this is your job. Like, y'all need to do this. Like, this isn't playing around. I mean, Clarksville, pay attention to this meeting, what's going on right now. If there's a food shortage, just pay attention to this meeting, please. Thank you.
Okay, I won't ask any more questions. I'm not supportive of this, and I don't see even how an amendment would make me supportive of this, especially since it hasn't been discussed with the HR department, who would be losing a position and having their budget decreased, and increasing another department's budget without discussing it with them at all. I know it also says it's a one-time expense. It would not be an annual expense, but when you're talking about also having to have refrigeration, there's going to be maintenance needs, electricity needs, storage needs, so I'm not sure how there wouldn't be additional expenses for this in the future. I just don't see this as a smart use of our taxpayers' dollars, and I'm not sure that they would see it that way either. Thank you.
Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. To the sponsor, when you brought this up to us before for discussion, I had recommended reaching out to Carla Keene at the Tennessee Ag Extension to get her insight or opinions on your idea. Were you able to speak with her?
I spoke to her briefly.
Was there a positive outcome? Did she have some ideas for a plan or?
It never really went anywhere.
Okay. So being on the finance committee, we did have another council member that wanted to make some changes to a position that's already in place, which was a city forester position. And it did come to finance committee for discussion, but it also was suggesting changes to a position, added responsibilities to a position was already there without discussion of the affected departments. And it was suggested that if that council member wanted to pursue that they should consult people and come with a plan so that at budget time, we would know exactly what we were voting on. So I would suggest that as well, because fiscally responsible people like several of us here don't just want to put money out there and not know what it's going to be, how it's going to be utilized, what it's going to be used for. Is it a new position? Do we have to buy buildings to store the seed farm? Who's going to maintain it? All those things. So we have a city forester, but I'm not sure that that person has any expertise on anything other than trees.
Hang on a second. you're recognized.
Yeah, so this is how it works. Eggs right now are $3.99 a dozen. They're probably going to keep going up. We do have a food problem, a food crisis across this country and across this town that is coming. This is not a, I'm going to talk to this department head, make sure they feel good about it. I'm going to talk to this department head, make sure they feel good about it. This is talking about like Clarksville being able to feed themselves. This is not a, I'm gonna sit here and coddle everybody, make sure everything feels good. This stinks. I do not like doing this. We need to do this, and that's the direction I need to take. And if I have to be mean about it, then I really am. I'm sorry about it, but we have to do this.
Well, I think you stated in your previous comments that we have experts that work for us in this field, but if you haven't spoken to the people, then how can they be part of putting a plan together?
So we have a city forester, and so she obviously has an ag degree. I think she might have a master's. So I think that's valid enough. So it's just like, look, we got a seed bank plan, giving you plenty of warning. I mean, if you didn't plan for it, then I don't know what to tell you, but they are the expert, and so they're going to do it. Like I don't have to have a conversation to tell someone what to do.
Well, we as a body act together on decisions that affect the budget and whatnot, and we have a say as a group, and I honestly would prefer that there was some information brought forward for a plan, and if the city forester feels like she has the ability and the knowledge to do this. I'm not against the idea of preparing for the future, but I also don't want to spend money if we don't know how it's going to be utilized and that there's a plan for it.
Yeah, that's why we're taking the money from HR and moving it. See, it's not spending money. It's just
I'm not-
reallocating money.
Yeah, for what though? I don't have
seeds.
a plan. There's not a plan.
For seeds, yes, we store seeds.
Are you going to store the seeds? Are you going to do all the work? Are you going to maintain the building?
If I have to, yes. I mean, if I think that's what it takes for all of you to be able to feed yourself, then yes, I will load my house up with seeds.
I can't vote for something that isn't planned out and we are able to ask questions. And I agree with what the previous speaker said. Coming to the finance committee where most all the department heads are would probably be a good place to start. So, thank you.
Councilman Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I understand what the speaker who brought forth this ordinance about idea about seeds, understand what you're saying and everything, but I think that there are already a lot of organizations out here that's providing seeds, such as Manna Cafe, the churches. It's a church on, I think it's 2nd Street, provides food for the needy, and they can go up there and get food anytime they get ready. I've taken some up there, and I'm just to, if this helps you to understand that there are a lot of organizations out here that are providing food. And so Manna Cafe, as I said, provides a lot of food, and I know that the church on 2nd Street, I can't think of the name of it right now, but there are a lot of places out here, and some churches, they give out food. And there are a lot of other organizations that have given out food, clothing, food, vouchers to help them pay their rent. And the reason I'm saying this is because I help people, I get them there. I take people there. To make sure that they get food. And I know I took a girl there from Memphis. She had 5 children, just moved here in emergency. And I took on 2nd Street. They gave her so much food, vouchers to pay for her rent until she got a place to stay. She had just came here from Memphis with 5 children. And so I know that there are a lot of organizations out there if that helps. Okay? Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Holloman, any response to that before we move on?
No, I think we covered everything. I think we're good.
Okay, we're now ready for the public comment portion of our agenda. Our code allows for 3 people to address the council 5 minutes each. Anybody wish to address the council? All right, we're ready for mayor and council member comments. Any member wish to address the council? Councilwoman Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. I have 2 things. First, I would like to commend the street department and also thank the mayor for your involvement in regards to the light at the intersection of Madison Street and Martin Luther King and the Martin Luther King Parkway, they were misaligned by TDOT, or the contractor for TDOT created quite a situation. Several residents, including myself, that were having to deal with it for the few days that it was misaligned. It was really bad situation, and I just want to thank both that department, Mr. Smith, and the mayor for everything that y'all did to get that corrected, to make it a much safer situation for driving through there. Y'all acted very quickly and was able to get it resolved in a very quick manner. Secondly, this is to the entire new council. I have worked with Chief Montgomery at the fire department, and all of us, we attend lots of different events. We are lots of different places within the community. We're around a lot of people where you never know when something might happen. So working with Chief Montgomery, we have coordinated, and we are going to have a CPR certification class for the council. It'll be held on 2 different Saturdays because there are so many of us. It'll be on Saturday, January 25th and February 1st. We'll be doing it at the CFR headquarters. It'll start at 8 o'clock and will be done by noon. I think this is a great opportunity for all of us to be together, learn something that could be vital to saving a life if something should happen where we are. So I just please ask that we do need to let him know so that he can make sure he has all the books and everything ready for us. If you could please let the clerk know. She will gather the names and turn those into him. He must have the names by January 10th, so I would ask that she has everything by January 9th, but I do hope everyone will want to participate. I think this would be valuable for all of us to be able to do, and I thank you, Chief Montgomery, for working with me on this. I think this is a good thing. Thank you.
Councilman Holloman, you're recognized.
All right, I'll give y'all plenty of warning. So next month, I'm going to be bringing up an amendment, and so I'm going to make a proposal to change our title from councilperson to either councilman or council lady, so that way we don't sound like a bunch of genderless buffoons.
Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
According to the charter, we're councilmen. That's why I refer to myself as councilman. The title that we are in the city charter is councilman.
Councilman Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to say Happy New Year to everybody. I know we're going to be hearing about a new Mayor Pro Tem. Can't wait to see who that is.
They're in this room.
It's interesting. I know he is. I hope he's not outside running around. I hope he's a member of the council, Mayor. He has to be. But anyway, we're going to be happy to receive a new Mayor Pro Tem. Also want to say that I'm certified CPR, and so I won't be coming to that, but that's a good idea to do that, save a life. I've been certified at least 3 times when I was a bus driver, so that's been many years ago, but I think I can still do it. But thank you all for everybody, what you've done, and how we going to receive our new members. We say welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. I see you and Deanna got on the same kind of shirt. That means a lot. Hey, Deanna. Deanna, that must be your boyfriend. I'm joking. Because she saw me at the Christmas party over at Austin P. And she said, "Oh, I see you with your boyfriend." I said, "Deanna, that is not my boyfriend." So I'm just joking with you as you joke with me, okay? But anyway, I'm going to say Happy New Year, and we hope to see you in January the 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. We have an outstanding police department in every way, every single day and every day. They do a great job of protecting our community. But one thing in particular stood out today. One of our nonprofit organizations, Bella's Closet, been around since 2019, providing free clothing and accessories to women everywhere, not just in our community. Had a trailer stolen from the property, and our police department recovered it today, and it's back in our possession. So thank you, Chief Crockrell, and everyone with the Clarksville Police Department. And thanks for all those public Pink Panthers out there that sent us clues that led us to the trailer. We're adjourned. See you Thursday.